The Black Wall is a border developed by NetWatch. Located within the net, it is tasked with keeping rogue AIs from breaking through into the rest of cyberspace and wreaking havoc. The firewall often splits old network systems in half, leading to stories of haunted data and even severing netrunners off into the old net to never be found again. At least, not in their original form. In the base game of 2077, we encounter the Black Wall alongside our initial contact with Alt Cunningham, or at least an AI that makes claim to her appearance and data. With the release of the Phantom Liberty expansion, we've actually been introduced even further to the Black Wall, but it only opens up further questions. When and where did it all begin? Why was the Black Wall a necessary architecture? And what importance does NetWatch play in it all? I will even cover the nature of the Datakrash, theories, and the type of AI that find their home in the net. There will be spoilers for Phantom Liberty and the novel No Coincidences included in this video. So if you haven't completed Phantom Liberty or plan on reading the No Coincidences novel, I heavily recommend just saving the video and returning. Without further delay, let's dive into the story of the net's most ominous architecture, the Black Wall. We first find ourselves back in the year of 2022, the middle of the Fourth Corporate War, a time in which it was still considered a shadow war rather than a public-facing hot war. Militech, with the assistance of Solo Morgan Blackhand and netrunner Alt Cunningham, had managed to convince the legendary netrunner Raish Bartmoss to help in their battle against Arasaka. By no means did Bartmoss want to help any corporation in any form, but a request from his close friend Alt Cunningham, he just couldn't deny, even with his short-circuited way of thinking. The goal being to hunt for the primary Soulkiller 2.5 program that Arasaka had in their grasp. Was a desperate proposal, as Militech even agreed to remain completely out of Bartmoss's way, even in their own data forts. Bartmoss could seriously be considered a netrunner atom smasher, as he took great joy in causing massive collateral damage and using lethal programs. It wouldn't take long for Bartmoss to track down the Soulkiller program. It actually took less than a month. Elated with his discovery, Bartmoss went on a net crime spree against Arasaka and several other non-involved corporations. It was during the course of these reckless runs that his line got traced, and suddenly both Militech and Arasaka knew where he was. Arasaka immediately sent out a massive strike team to Bartmoss's location. Blackhand, desperate to save an asset and a friend, sent in rapid reaction Militech forces to protect him, the goal being to save and extract Bartmoss from his location. None of it would prove enough, because at the end of the day, when the tide seemed to be shifting in the favor of Militech, Arasaka dropped a rock from orbit onto the location. In the moments leading up to his death, he invited Spider Murphy to a chat room and confessed his love for her. In the moments of his death, he activated a switch, releasing the Rabbids program out onto the net. This program had been created as a grand act of defiance against corporate control to be triggered in the event of his death. It was designed to breach all corporate data fortresses and unleash their data onto the net for all to access. The powerful viruses released were responsible for destroying the old net and infecting 78.2% of it in a matter of months, an event that would be titled the Datakrash. Net traffic came to a grinding halt. Corporations lost billions as the stock market destabilized. Huge amounts of data were corrupted, and countless military-grade artificial intelligence were enshackled and mutated into extremely dangerous entities. After the collapse of the old net, the worldwide net policing organization, NetWatch, would oversee the development of corporate CitiNets, which are local VPNs established in reclaimed cities. The establishment of the new net had a drastic outcome, in opposition to everything Bartmoss would have wanted. Every corp, government, and gang would now have a net they rule with an iron fist, with no regulation or accountability. The net was no longer the free landscape it once was, and for that, many netrunners hated Bartmoss. NetWatch would begin attempts to clear out the Rabbids virus and re-establish the old net. After a losing 3-year battle, NetWatch gave up and shut down all the major nodes into the old net. Though this didn't necessarily stop netrunners from trying to find a back door into the off-limits portion of the net. NetWatch were essentially reduced to a police force that would patrol to rescue any gonk runners who found themselves in the middle of dangerous black ice. In the 2040s, NetWatch would finally see some change from an unexpected partnership, one that they themselves would find extremely illegal, and for that reason, it's kept off the books. 2 decades earlier, around the time of the Datakrash and Fourth Corporate War, the densely populated city of Hong Kong would fall victim to a bioplague. Because of how dangerous this plague was, the entire city was quarantined and sectioned off from the rest of humanity, leaving it to be an abandoned remnant of the Fourth Corporate War, and now known all over as Ghost World. This title wasn't coined for the countless that died within its borders. It was what happened afterward. The net structures left abandoned and inaccessible were inhabited by Alt Cunningham, who would turn the remnants into a society made of AIs that resided from the old net. It's the inaccessible nature of areas like this that riddled the world that the old net couldn't just be shut down. Especially since every piece of tech is a part of the net in Cyberpunk, every single piece of tech would have to be shut down to get rid of the old net. Another example is the city of Busan in South Korea, a location that would also find Alt Cunningham eventually residing in it. And that is why NetWatch would find themselves collaborating with Alt Cunningham and the mysterious cabal of transcendent AIs. The NetWatch head, Magnificent Curtis, and his team of operatives, with their help, managed to write software that could tackle the black ice and Rabbids infesting the old net, resulting in a mysterious project to get the net under control. A project that exists on no books or official documents, known only by the ominous title of the Black Wall. The virtual firewall came up without warning, out of nowhere, which meant that any netrunners left stranded on the other side had no way to safely jack out nor survive indefinitely in cyberspace. As a result, NetWatch managed to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, neutralizing the threat of AIs and getting rid of troublesome hackers. The Black Wall's task was to secure an area of the net for human use while holding at bay the threat of dangerous rogue AI. The price of the Black Wall meant abandoning major technological advancements that came with self-aware AIs and sacrifice access to invaluable resources and knowledge for the safekeeping of the net. While NetWatch would continue patrolling the Black Wall to assure it maintained its structure, the mega corporations of Arasaka and Militech would soon come to a realization. Technological progression had stalled for decades. Nothing of note, nothing truly evolving the species had been invented, and things were stagnant. The companies believed that accessing the AIs behind the Black Wall is what's needed to push forward, and whichever company wrangles them will have the advantage. It's an effective arm race to pierce the Black Wall, akin to the moon race between Russia and the USA. Whoever gets there first wins. This was when Arasaka began a net-running youth program that disguised itself as an opportunity to prosper. In reality, the children would be moved underground to participate in dives beyond the Black Wall, into the pre-Datakrash net. Arasaka sent them looking for knowledge that was lost in the 2023 Arasaka HQ bombing. As they dove into the net, they were susceptible to old world demons and rogue AIs. The children were picked off one by one, and it didn't take long until only a handful of them were left. After realizing they had become enslaved by the corporation, the remaining children, including Lucy from the Edge Runner series, used their netrunning skills to overwhelm the Arasaka staff and escape. As the children were shot down one by one, only Lucy managed to survive. The first known instance for Militech was Project Cynosure, or at least the reactivation of it. In the mid-2010s, Militech began the project as a rival to the Soul Killer program that Arasaka had their hands on. to create a sort of net nuke that would provide them the advantage over Arasaka. This project was abandoned shortly before the Datakrash. This bunker under the Pacifica region of Night City would later be reopened with the goal of using the Cynosure AI as a weapon for war and to contact the AI beyond the Black Wall. This attempt, however, was also abandoned shortly before the Unification War that would see Dogtown taken by Kurt Hansen and his militia. While Arasaka would take a more direct approach, probing at the Black Wall to gain access to the rogue AI and information contained behind it, Militech was obviously taking the approach of using an AI as a mediator, an objective that would spark yet again in the 2070s, with a project to create an hybrid AI laden with human emotions. Within the No Coincidence novel, we learn that they've made 3 attempts so far, and initiate the 4th at the end, sometime before the 2077 storyline. In 2077, the mercenary V would find himself with the relic stuck in his head, with an engram of the infamous rocker boy Johnny Silverhand tormenting him without pause. During this time, the Black Wall is still active, as the dangers of the rogue AIs getting free could possibly cause the end of the world. Several Netrunner groups believe the free AIs will help them conquer the virtual world, and thus look for ways to destroy the firewall. V would come into contact with one of these groups, the Voodoo Boys, in his search to prevent his untimely death at the hands of the Relic, a gang that believes the breaching of the Black Wall is inevitable, and are willing to do anything to remove the Black Wall and win favor with the rogue AIs or when the net war eventually breaks out. During this questline, we will learn that the Black Wall isn't exactly the Great Border everyone seems to believe it is. The NetWatch agent, Bryce Mosley, describes it as a torn-open trash bag taped over a busted window. He would then make a proposition to V, decide with him, and in exchange, he would remove the virus put into V's operating system by the Voodoo Boys. If V doesn't take this deal, he will continue with Placide's original plan and mass target the NetWatch agents in the area, dispatching them all. V then returns to the Voodoo Boys to make contact with Alt Cunningham from beyond the Black Wall, where he learns a deeper secret about the Black Wall that has been floated around by various sources. It isn't a firewall, rather is a powerful AI masquerading as ICE, who acts as a mediator between the old and new net, an AI with the boundary condition to not allow passage through either way. One that keeps out any rogue AIs it can identify from the secure net, a job that isn't always successful at. It could even be viewed as a traitor by the AIs beyond the Black Wall. Alongside the less than 100% success rate, there is always a risk that the Black Wall itself goes rogue, which could be a catastrophe for humanity, hence the off-the-books nature of the project. Its brittle nature is further exemplified by the Cyber Psycho sighting, in which Maelstrom attempts to, or even maybe successfully summons the rogue AI, Lilith, from beyond the Black Wall. A notion further confirmed by their participation in Project Oracle with Night Corp. Hell, even the taxi driver Delamain was actually purchased from beyond the Black Wall, a fact you can learn from not only dialogue, but messages found in the Delamain HQ during the Don't Lose Your Mind quest. Honestly, a better question at this point is who isn't poking around the Black Wall and attempting to utilize the AI found within. Depending on the actions chosen earlier, the Voodoo Boys can either be wiped out or would have traveled beyond the Black Wall with the aid of Alt Cunningham, disappearing from public view. Alt will then agree with V and the soul-killed Silverhand to save V from the relic if provided access to the Mikoshi database under Arasaka Tower. In between V's encounter with Alt Cunningham and their eventual attack on Arasaka, V chooses to pursue an alternate lead. Contacted by an NUSA netrunner named Songbird, V is tasked with entering Dogtown and saving the President Rosalind Myers, all under the guise that Songbird can cure the ever-worsening relic situation. Despite V saving the President, they remain stuck in Dogtown to now save their new chance at survival, as Songbird finds herself in the hands of the Barghest militia's leader, Kurt Hansen. With the aid of a FIA sleeper agent named Solomon Reed, V tracks down a blind Voodoo Boys netrunner by the name of Slider, who will reveal the secret behind Songbird's unique net running power. She is utilizing the Black Wall, and for this exact reason, she has been reduced to a near full Borg body and a fatal physical condition, sharing a similar illness as V. All of it yet again, a part of Militech's and the NUSA's plan to weaponize the Black Wall ahead of any other entity. While there are various endings to V's time in Dogtown, they boil down to 3 options: kill Songbird, save her, or hand her over to the NUSA. While killing Songbird might seem like the worst option, it isn't. Handing her over to the NUSA in her deteriorated state will lead her to a much worse fate. It's implied that while the NUSA was capable of bringing her back to a state where she could serve the country, their perspective is much more twisted. It's explained that the procedure had her undergo a change in personality. In all likelihood, the NUSA has successfully implanted their dual human and AI testing on a Songbird and hold her as their Black Wall mediator. Despite this, not everything is exactly in the NUSA's favor. Depending on V's choices in the shot by both sides quest, NUSA and Militech can have some major trouble headed their way. In this quest, V infiltrates a Cynosure facility with the client Bree. With the information in hand, V can choose between siding with the Militech agent Dante or Bree. If V chooses to side with Bree, Mr. Hands will later contact you and let you know that she sold the Militech evidence to NetWatch, leaving the NUSA and Militech to be in potentially massive danger against the rest of the world's corporations and governments who are attempting to not only breach the Black Wall, but also weaponize its rogue AIs. And that's on top of their stunt at orbital air, if that ends up in canon. Depending on the choices made at the end of Cyberpunk 2077, either V or Johnny can agree to follow Alt beyond the Black Wall, where they will fuse with her like the rest of the constructs from Mikoshi. There is clearly an urgent situation on the other side of the Black Wall that would further push Alt Cunningham to be mass collecting of their AI, breaching the Black Wall, and tearing down Arasaka's Mikoshi database. We get some further insight to this in the No Coincidences novel through an Arasaka executive named Katsuo, who states, "In reality, these AIs have at their disposal only the limited portion of cyberspace that we ceded to them nearly 40 years ago. No new space has been created, neither is there a back door, no physical connection that leads directly beyond the all-pervasive barrier that is the Black Wall. If evolution has taken place, it has been determined by limited space and resources. You are afraid of war, but it has already begun among the AIs themselves. It is a war over scarcity." End quote. As time progresses, corporations will want to harness the technology provided by self-aware and evolved Black Wall AIs. It doesn't stop at Arasaka and Militech. Night Corp, gangs, and various smaller corporations all want in on this advancement, a prospect that progressively makes NetWatch's job more difficult. As these corporations, gangs, and netrunners continue poking holes in the already weak Black Wall, the rogue AIs gain further ability. These rogue AI are running out of space, and evolve to a point that the dwindling hardware they run on is no longer sufficient. Expansion is needed, and the fall of the Black Wall and merging of Mikoshi is just the beginning. The AI must expand itself throughout the entire plane of reality that is the net. It would only be a matter of time until an invasion of the physical plane of reality is sparked as well. A fifth corporate war and AI invasion is on its way. Or maybe it's already here. And that, Shooms, is all the information I have to provide to you on the Black Wall. Let me know all your thoughts down below, and if this video helped further your understanding of the Black Wall and Cyberpunk universe. I have several other lore dives and theories lined up for Phantom Liberty, so make sure to subscribe and keep up to date. As always, thanks to all the channel members up on screen. I appreciate all the support and am grateful for the opportunity to make content for you all. I am approaching 10,000 subscribers, and I am honestly just shocked at how far this channel has come. Seriously, thank you all so much. Make sure to have a great week, and I will see you later, chooms.